Hey, what's up? It's Whalebrains here, and today we're going to be talking about the Megalodon. This is my first video, so I would really appreciate it if you liked and subscribed, but let's go right into talking about the Megalodon. So the Megalodon was a prehistoric fish, more specifically shark, that lived millions and millions of years ago and led itself to extinction. It's huge. If this depiction is right, it's eating 2 humpback whales with no strain on its mouth at all. Well, I think one is a blue whale, but I can't tell very well because the depiction is not exactly accurate. But if it was this size, which a lot of people say it was, then blue whales and things like that are around the size of a T-Rex, or what we think a T-Rex was, maybe a little bit smaller. But if you think that big compared to a T-Rex, and T-Rexes are some of the most feared prehistoric animals, well, they're huge. And they were also very vicious. They had the hunting instincts of all the vicious sharks, and they were not sneaky at all, which is actually one reason why they got led to extinction. They came up to their prey with no fear at all, which sometimes led them to extinction, as they could come into huge shoals of things and they could just get fin nipped to death, even though they were huge compared to those shoals. But imagine a T-Rex going into a huge, I'm talking massive, pack of wolves. I know that's a bit of a weird analogy, but it would die. Even though it's stronger than one wolf, it's not stronger than hundreds of wolves. So that is why some of them died. But another reason why they died is because they starved. A lot of fish got smarter to them. So they knew when they were coming, they could tell the signs, because they were in plain sight. They didn't have any very smart methods about them. They had a very low IQ because they're animals, but they were very, very, very dumb animals. So that's one reason why they got extinct. But instead of them being extinct, let's actually talk about how devastating they were to sea wildlife and why other animals survived as well. So obviously we've already established that these animals aren't sneaky and just aren't very smart animals at all. But animals like sea cows were around for years and years and years before them, and they are still around today. So they were around in prehistoric times, and they are around today. For some reason, these giant fish aren't around today. And you think sea cows, if you don't know what a sea cow is, it looks like a pickle sitting on the seabed. It's quite interesting to read into them, seeing as on the surface they look like quite dumb creatures, but they are quite intellectual and they can do quite interesting things, almost like shapeshifters, because they can change their shape to fit into certain crevices and stuff, and they feed on stuff like algae and things like that. So, yeah, that's sea cows. But this is how devastating they were. They took away many species. For example, if you see that shark in the background, that shark, I cannot pronounce the name of it, but it was a species of shark apparently in the Paleolithic times, I think. And that was around the same time as the Megalodon, apart from the Megalodon went through all of the Paleolithic days and all of the other times. But yeah, so that's another shark. It led them completely to extinction within the space of around only 50 years. These fish were en masse. This Megalodon only had like 1% of the amount that these guys do, and they still led them to extinction. So this is how devastating they were. Now, those 2 whales there, that isn't really accurate. It's just showing how big they would be. But the whales came well after the Megalodon, even if they were still quite ancient creatures. They still came well after the Megalodon. And obviously another reason the Megalodon got extinct is because of the Ice Age. The Megalodon lived in tropical waters. They couldn't go out of salt water, and they couldn't go into cold water. So when the Ice Age came around, frozen to death, a lot of them. But we have found a few skeletons, which shows us kind of the size of a Megalodon. And whoever drew this is a very talented artist, so I'm not taking that away from them, but it may not be accurate. Another thing with the Megalodon is the amount of teeth it has. If you notice on the top jaw, it has loads and loads and loads of large teeth, but on the bottom, it has millions of very small teeth. Now, they actually had 3 different sets of teeth. It's only showing 2 sets there, but they have 3 sets on each side of the jaw, so the top and the bottom, which is 6 sets of teeth in total. But on the bottom, they were all like that, and on the top, they were all like that, apart from the third pair, which was like the one on the bottom. So there are 2 large, spiky ones, and there are 4 small, very, very, very sharp ones. So they generally use their bottom jaw to move. Like us, we can only move our bottom jaw, not our top jaw. Well, not the top of our jaw. So they could only use their bottom jaw, which is why it has the more powerful, even though they're not as big, they're still a lot sharper. So that doesn't really add up if the bigger ones were on the bottom, because they wouldn't be able to kill as lethally. But yeah, so that's all for Megalodons. I will be talking about next episode, I think I will be talking about jaws, although if anyone has any other suggestions, I will try and take them into consideration. So please, again, subscribe and like. And yeah, that's all from Whale Brains this time. See you next time. Bye.